Good morning, welcome to chapel. Thank you for being flexible today and moving indoors with us. Bentel Commons is a beautiful place to worship, but not in the rain. As you entered worship today, you should have picked up a blue bulletin and a red hymnal. Those will be the resources that you need for worship today. In addition to the announcements printed on the back of your bulletin, I also want to highlight that this Saturday, October 16th, is World Food Day, an international day to raise awareness about poverty, food insecurity, and food justice. So in honor of that, this week we are collecting, especially emphasizing food donations for our on-campus Little Free Pantry, which is housed in the CFL Prayer Chapel, which is a source of free food for anyone on campus who needs it. There are donation boxes in the prayer chapel and outside the college ministry's office. You can donate any time of year, but especially this week, we encourage you to do so if you are able. Today is our Founders Day Chapel. Founders Day at Luther is October 14th, which is tomorrow, and we remember and commemorate, see if I get this right, the appointment of Reverend Larson, the first professor of what would become Luther College. Is that about right? Okay, excellent. I suspect he's going to say some more things about that here. And this over here is Professor David Faldet, who is our chapel speaker. He will help us today to think about our past and our future through the ongoing lens of new creation. We are grateful for college organist Gregory Peterson and Norskkor and Mark Potvin, who will be leading us in music this morning. Welcome and blessings to you. Let us join together in worship. I invite you to stand. God of life, let our souls rise up to meet you as the day rises to meet the sun. Let our hearts sing for joy, for you are making all things new. Every day we will bless you and praise your name forever and ever. As we join in singing our first hymn, ELW 841, Lift Every Voice and Sing, I want to offer an invitation when we get to the second verse, offer you a couple of options, recognizing that for most of us, this second verse are not our words and does not speak to our experience, nor should it perhaps. So when we get to verse 2, your first invitation is to sing those words introspectively as if you were reading them out of a piece of literature, out of a biography, out of a text written by someone who has experienced these sufferings. So to sing it as if there were quotes around it and you were recalling or reading someone's experience. Or if you feel more comfortable not singing those words, you're invited to hum along as well. In that way, we honor those for whom this hymn speaks their truth and remember the long and sometimes difficult history of our nation and our citizens in it. We join together in number 841, Lift Every Voice and Sing.
seated. I've been asked to talk today about a new creation, which the prophet Isaiah said would mean the former things shall not be remembered or come to mind. Yet I've been asked to do that on Founders Day, a celebration of history. Perhaps in that challenge I can take some guidance from the peoples who lived here before Luther College was founded, tribes such as the Iowa, the Dakota, the Fox, and Winnebago, who were among the many consulted when the Smithsonian began planning the construction of the National Museum of the American Indian. One point on which tribal leaders insisted was that only about a third of the museum be devoted to the past. They didn't want history to eclipse the present or somehow block out the vital prospect of 7 generations into the future. I honor the wisdom of those Indian elders. You cannot and should not make an idol of the past. Imagine an Eden that never was. Still, even as we make ourselves and our lives anew, the past is there, guiding and defining us, and I believe it's important to stay familiar with it, perhaps even as a model for how to make things new. For example, the song with which we began, the one you just sang, Lift Every Voice and Sing, it's the African American national anthem, filled with references to a long and difficult history, but also about facing a new day and marching on with hope. I can't sing that song without hearing in my own mind a little bit of my own treasured history, the voice of my departed colleague, Lawrence Williams, who for 25 years rarely missed a chapel service. Lawrence was not a great singer, but when we sang Lift Every Voice, he sang it with an inspirational voice. Lawrence grew up African American in segregated Louisville, Kentucky, attending Great Green Street Baptist Church. As a high school student, he went to jail for protesting segregation at the dining counter of the local department store. At Luther, on weekdays, Lawrence taught Africana Studies, American History, and Paideia, and on Sunday, he ministered to a rural Baptist congregation 1 county south of here. As an historian, Lawrence knew in grim detail the stony road and the chastening rod, and as a child, he was often barred access to his rightful place in this, his native land. Putting his and his generation's progress in the light of that history, collective and personal, put joy in Lawrence's heart as he sang, Lift Every Voice. And remembering Lawrence, an important force for change at the heart of Luther's history, deepens my new joy in that song every time I sing it. Well, we're celebrating Founders Day. 160 years ago, Norwegian pastor Laur Larsen joined the faculty of Concordia Seminary in St. Louis to teach 8 Norwegian students. One of the earliest of many steps in Luther's early history, where, though they sought to perpetuate Norwegian culture and the old Lutheran faith, the college founders had to do something new. Note that we're not gathered today in St. Louis. In 1861, a civil war was declared in April. That war ignited what Luther grad Brynjolf Hovde once called class warfare among Norwegians. Larsen and pastors like him thought highly of the Missouri Lutheran Seminary's pure Lutheran way of looking to the Bible for truth. The Bible did not label slavery a sin, and neither would Larsen or his fellow Norwegian pastors. Parishioners here in the North were horrified. People owning and brutalizing their brothers and sisters? That could not be right. Bible or no Bible, those immigrant farmers wanted their sons to return north. And when the pastors gave in, the college was founded, not in a slave state, but in Wisconsin and later Iowa. And though the founders originally thought to do so as they had in Norway, train pastors through the state university, they were now in America, supported not officially through the state, but by the private giving of farmers. They founded something new, an American college with a European classical curriculum. This was a strange and foreign country. The language was unfamiliar, the customs often shocking. As one horrified economic migrant wrote home to Norway, "In America, men milk the cows." Laura Larson, the first Norwegian teacher here, spoke Hebrew and Greek and Latin and German and his native Norwegian, but his English was weak, a language still strange to him. He therefore brought with him to the new college, which he began in Wisconsin, a fellow teacher, not a Norwegian like himself, but a German-born pastor named Friedrich Schmidt, who had grown up in America and spoke English well. And when the college was opened here on this hill, the most honored speaker at the occasion was a German theology professor from the seminary in St. Louis. The people of these two nationalities found new friendship, new allies in their mutual difference from Anglo-American culture and their mutual agreement in Lutheran faith. While the main purpose of the school was to train pastors, those farmers, paying the bills, insisted that the college entrance be open to all, not just future seminarians, but also men who plan to teach or farm or enter business or a profession. That would have been hard or unusual in Norway, but it would be the new way here, a new, profoundly leveling mission. And when the pastors attempted to set up Norwegian-speaking church schools for grades 1 to 8, parishioners balked and instead sent their children to the English-speaking public schools, reserving Norwegian only for a short summer session of church school. The children of the church in America would, like Friedrich Schmidt, grow comfortable in a language foreign to their parents. There were more surprises. On the very first day class was held here in this new facility on the hill, no students showed up. They were staging a strike due to the disappointing design of their new dormitories and the oppressive demands placed on them by the faculty, believe it or not. Their leader, Rasmus Bjørn Andersen, perhaps the college's most brilliant student, was expelled. But Laura Larson, the very president who expelled him, later praised and collaborated with Andersen, for, scorned by the faithful, Andersen turned to the secular University of Wisconsin, where he joined the faculty in 1867, and where he made something new, the country's first Scandinavian studies department. Out of division came something new that all parties could agree was good. Well, our service today closes with a song written by one of our founders, Reverend Corin, the man who saw to it that Luther College was founded and remained in Decorah. Oh, sing Jubilee to the Lord, sing praise unto God out of Zion. Zion's the hill in Jerusalem where the temple stood, a temple nostalgically missed and ached for during the Babylonian captivity. And Jubilee, that's the 1 year in 7 in the Jewish calendar when Hebrew slaves and prisoners were freed, debts were forgiven, and God's mercy was celebrated. I believe that for Corin, born and educated in Norway, when he penned these words in 1874, his 21st year in this country, this place where we gather today had become Zion, a place of hope as well as loss. And Jubilee, singing Jubilee meant for all the division and strife and difficulty, it felt like God's mercy could be felt here. For all the trouble, Corin and his farmer parishioners could sense a light shining here, a new and a hopeful one. It's not hard for us to imagine a world like the world of our founders, a world where much is shifting, unsettled, divided, uncertain, and difficult, but also filled with possibility and really exciting unknowns. I hope those hopeful Norwegians and their German-American ally, those founders, would recognize Luther College still as Zion, a place of alliance and intersection that connects memory with hopefulness, a place where, despite differences, love of what is best in our heritages and belief in new possibility brings us together still. Sing Jubilee.
God.
And now may the histories that you carry keep you humble. May the lessons of the past help you to shape a better future. May your hearts and your minds be open to new paths of reconciliation. And may God fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that you may abound in hope each and every day. Go in peace. God is making all things new. Thanks be to God.